All right, so all of you, welcome to the Apocalypse.gym.podcast. If this is your first episode, this podcast is put out so that we can help all of you get the skills and maybe some techniques to help you succeed in life and whatever your goal is, whether it be a fitness goal, a side business, a family, a relationship goal, whatever it is. Hopefully we give you some skills and techniques so that you can be a better person. And in this episode, we're going to talk about accelerating. And you think it's kind of spelled kind of weird, but I didn't misspell it. But we're here to help you excel, right? And then you'll kind of see how we're talking about it. You're going to accelerate all these wins and kind of drive some positivity, some attitude, and we'll talk about a book that says you can change the world with it. If you haven't listened to the last two podcasts, let me get this closer. I suggest you do, because we talked about episode 6 was talking about the relentless pursuit, so that you are. It talks about continually pursuing your lifelong goals, and it kind of sets up episode 7 where we talk about your why. You really have to deep dive into why you're doing whatever it is you're doing, and that kind of helps drive you to get past some of those like speed bumps along the road. So if you haven't listened to episode 6 and 7, I suggest you go back, pause this right now, go back to episode 6, listen to episode 7, and it kind of, because those things kind of get hit during this podcast, or hopefully that's the idea, that I'll hit some of them. But please go back and listen to those. So, I think the first step that we have to do is we really have to, as human beings, right, just the way we're made, we're naturally set up for failure, because human beings instinctually seek to be comfortable, right? If we're cold, we put on clothes so we're warm. If we're hot, we take off clothes and we get in air conditioning so that we're cool. If we're hungry, we eat. If whatever it is, we're always, the human species is the thing, is like we're always seeking to be comfortable, which is a good thing, right? Because that's, homeostasis, or whatever you want to call it. It's how we ensure that we remain alive, and it's just animal instinct, right? We seek to continue living without discomfort. But what I think happens is our discomfort becomes our enemy. Right, because once you have no discomfort, right, when the smallest thing comes up, it's very inconvenient, right? And I'll use my daughter as an example. She has an iPad, and she likes to spend a lot of her time on it. Sometimes, probably too much, and it's sort of my fault a lot of times. But if maybe we don't get it plugged in right at night, and it doesn't charge overnight, and she wakes up in the morning, and typically when she's getting ready for school and she's sitting down eating her breakfast before she goes to school, her iPad's dead. It's like the world has ended. It's the worst thing that could ever happen, and I can tell that usually when she comes home from school, it's been a terrible day, and nothing has went right, and it really all stemmed from the fact that her iPad wasn't charged. And if you think about it, that's so silly, right? But we do the same thing, right? Oh man, our alarm clock, like somehow we hit the snooze button and we woke up late. Great. Now I'm late for work. Or, I forgot to hit, the programming on the coffee pot. Now my coffee's not ready, and now I'm not going to have my coffee, and I'm going to be tired before I go to work. Or maybe, oh man, it's cold outside and I didn't start my car, and now it's cold and I got to ride for 5 minutes in my cold car on the way to work. Like, the simplest things can be realistically so discomforting for us. But when you think about it, right, and you take two comparisons, right, think about, and I know this is an extreme case, but it kind of feeds the purpose. Like, think about two people, right? So here you have, we'll say it, World War II generation because they're the greatest generation, right? That soldier in that foxhole, cuddled up next to his buddy trying to catch a few hours of sleep. And then you have yourself laying in your purple mattress with your feather down comforter, with your 8 sleep topper that's keeping you perfectly warm, and your house has a heater or a cooler, whatever it is, and you didn't wake up quite on time, or your coffee pot didn't brew when you wanted it to, or your car wasn't warm. All these things are just the worst thing in the world for you, right? It's just, oh man, it's the worst. The day's over. It could have been the crappiest day ever. Like, just ruin it. Just skip the day, right? As opposed to the soldier over here who's like, man, this dude next to me is warm. This is awesome. Or maybe, they got some hot A's come out and there's like a little bit of coffee and it's like lukewarm. Like, oh my God, this coffee's so great. Or, they heat up their sea ration that's basically gross stuff in a can, and they heat it up and it's like, oh my God, this is the greatest stuff ever. They're like, when we compare levels of discomfort, right, the smallest thing here is great for him and the smallest thing here is the worst for us. So I think we have to reset our discomfort level. And how do we do that? Well, Jocko Willink says it, the best way to do it is, when your alarm clock goes off, get up. Don't hit the snooze button. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and, the guy was talking about, like, the gym session for him. Going into the gym every day and just crushing his body helps him reset his mindset. Like, you go throughout the day and, like, you do something normal. It's like, oh, that's not hard when you compare it to what I just did in the gym, right? So go to the gym and crush a hard workout. And that kind of resets your mindset. If pick a fast. Like, hey, you know what? I'm always going to the refrigerator because I need something to eat. Or I'm bored. Right? And you know what? Again, not a doctor. Please consult medical professionals before you do anything like this. But go do a 24-hour fast. Do it hard. Make something hard. Make you appreciate the food you get. Right? There's a lot of different things. Sign up for a marathon. I don't know. Half marathon. Sign up for something hard that you know is going to be hard and make yourself do it. And it's going to help you reset that discomfort level. Because what I've noticed is the people who do a lot of really hard stuff don't really care sometimes when small stuff happens. And I'm the same way, and my wife gets frustrated at me sometimes. Because she'll be like, oh, what if this happens? I'm like, whatever. I don't care. Or, like recently, for some reason, I don't know if I say this in the podcast, but she's been having issues with her car. And she's like, well, what if this happens and something happens to my car? I'm like, whatever. We got insurance, right? That's why I pay insurance every month. It's just, there's a solution, right? Whatever it is. Even with my daughter, I try to talk her through it. When the iPad dies, I'm like, hey, you know what? Oh, great, your iPad's dead. Okay. Well, you could get up from the table, walk up the 8 stairs we have. You could grab your charger cord and plug it into the plug right there and plug your iPad in and watch it. Or you could sit here and just throw a giant tantrum and ruin your day. Right? So I think what I've seen, the people who do hard things are less likely to get upset by small things, but they also find solutions to the really small problems. Right? So the example, like, hey, you woke up late, or your coffee pot didn't brew, whatever. Oh, great, I woke up late. Oh, whatever. Right? I'll go into work, I'm like, hey, you know what, woke up late. I'm sure no one's going to get mad. Right? Your coffee pot didn't brew. Great. You know what? Stop at Starbucks or McDonald's and get a coffee. Problem solved, right? So just find a solution to whatever it is. I think people, once you reset your discomfort level and you just don't really let things affect you emotionally so much, I think you can more easily find a solution to that small problem. So reset your discomfort level. Become comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I've said that many times. If you follow me on social media, that's one of the reasons I do ice baths in the morning. I don't want to get in there. It doesn't feel good when you get in. It feels good a little bit afterwards. And then after you get out, it feels fantastic. And there's a lot of health benefits to it too. So do hard things to reset your discomfort level. And the next thing, and again, why I said go back to episode 7, is we need to set goals, right? So if you know your why, you can set a goal. And when you set your goal, right, I think one of the important things is if we set a goal out, say 6 months, if we don't have some like micro goals along the way, we lose track of those. We lose track of the big goal, and then like we feel like we don't ever see progress, and then we kind of get discouraged, and then we just kind of, it's it, we're over, we don't care, but we quit, right? I don't know if you're listening, if you've ever heard of the man Dave Ramsey. He's big into the financial freedom and everything. And his way of getting yourself out of debt, right? So say you have debt, that's your end goal, is you start with the small wins. And what he talks about is, whatever, say you have 10 credit cards. That's just easy numbers, right? And the first one's $10,000, the second one's $9,000, 8, 7, 6, all the way down to a $1,000 credit card debt, right? And I'm just trying to make this easy math here. He says start with the $1,000. Forget all the other ones, right? Well, don't forget them. You're just going to pay the bare minimums on these, right? On all the other ones, you're going to pay the bare minimums. You take every resource you got, and you're going to pay as much as you can on the smallest one, right? And then you're going to pay that one off. And then now you have that, all the resources you had, plus whatever you needed for that first one, right? And now you can put it to the second one. So now you get a small win on this one. You got your first win. Now you kind of compounds together, and you go to the next one, and it's boom, you get the second one paid off. Now you got another win, right? And now you're starting to compound all these wins, and you're starting to tackle bigger and bigger and bigger goals until you finally accomplish your larger goal. So that's what I'm saying you do for your goal setting. Whatever your goal is, and again, I kind of relate it back to fitness because it's easy for me. But you can apply it to whatever it is in your life, a side hustle or losing weight or whatever. Say you're going to, I'm going to run a marathon in 6 months. Okay. Well, that's awesome, right? So break it down. Well, let's do a half marathon somewhere in there. So in 4 months, I want to do a half marathon. Well, that's awesome. That's still a little bit further out, right? So maybe in 3 months, I want to do a 10K. Okay, great. Well, that's good too. Hey, it's getting closer. Hey, in a month and a half, I want to do a 5K. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. I'm going to do a 5K. Hey, in 3 or 4 weeks, I want to be able to run 2 miles. Boom. So now you have all these like small goals, right? So now you have, hey, a couple weeks I'm going to run 2 miles. Oh, man, that's great. And then once I get to 2 miles, I can do that. Then I'm going to run a 5K, which is 3.1 miles. Oh, that's awesome. That's even better. And a little bit later, I'm going to run 6 miles. And you're building your goals. You're compounding all these wins. And it helps you stay motivated throughout the whole process. And there's a book out there, and it's literally called Make Your Bed. And it's Make Your Bed, the little things that can change your life and maybe the world. I think I got that book right. It's by General McRaven, or Admiral McRaven, I can't remember which one. But a very high-ranking military individual, he wrote the book. And he talks about if you start every day off with a win, which is making your bed, it sets your day up for success. And it's kind of the same principle. And I do this personally, and it annoys my wife. But I put everything on a calendar. And we have our devices, our cell phones and whatnot. And I use, my wife uses a paper calendar, which she loves. And I use my phone calendar. And I put everything down, and it's literally laid out. Like I have my workout, and then I have like kid school, like prep, and then I have work, and then if I have other stuff within work, I have meetings and whatever, and I have all that stuff, and then I have stuff in the afternoon, in the evening, and whatever, and I have it all laid out. And what happens is, it's, if you've listened to anything, the big problem with, our handheld devices and social media is you get these dopamine hits. Every time you look at every time you get a ding, a text message, a notification of whatever your social media app, you get that notification and you pull it out and you read it, like boom, it's this dopamine hit, right? And like it gives you this little thing of satisfaction. You're like, oh yeah, like yes, oh so-and-so loves me, or so-and-so liked my post, right? So instead of letting that be a negative thing and letting that draw into our phone all the time, right, I've turned it into basically a motivational tool to keep myself on track for the day. So like my phone will literally notify me like, boom, hey, in 15 minutes you're doing this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it kind of helps reset my mind so I don't get distracted. And it's funny because I'll be in the garage in the morning working out, and I'll be just hammering away at maybe the Echo bike or at a workout, and my phone will, boom, hey, Asher's going to wake up. And I'm like, oh, man, Okay, great. Let me finish this rep or set, and then I'll go make sure that my kid wakes up. It reset my mind, right? And I always keep track of when, my kid's getting up, and it helps me know that, hey, this is this goal or whatever, right? But you have all these events, and all those are keeping you on track, right? You're doing a win. Boom. Hey, Asher's going to wake up. Boom. Okay, great. I go and check on Asher. Hey, he's awake, good to go. Boom, I got a win. That's awesome. That's one win. Then a little bit later, because I make sure he's up and then I go back to working out, it notifies me, hey, Asher's bus is going to be there. Oh, great. Let me make sure, he gets on the bus. Boom. Hey, see you later, buddy. Have a good day at school. Boom, gets on the bus. Dude, second win. I'm already crushing it. Works through, gym workout complete. Third win. I'm winning before 7 a.m. I'm crushing it, right? I got 10 wins in the bag. And it just builds your attitude, right? So if you've ever looked at someone who seems to be that they're always in a great attitude, right? If you look at it why do they always have a great attitude? I don't know. Sometimes you might ask them. But one thing I have noticed, if you look at, professional sports, if you look at those teams, right, it'll be whatever team you want to talk about. I'm not going to name a team because somebody will be like, oh, he's a such and such fan. I don't really follow professional sports a lot, but that's beside the point. Those teams that are always winning, what does it seem like their attitude is? It seems like they're always in a great attitude. Have you ever, who's that person in your life that seems like everything they do, they win at? What kind of attitude do they typically have? They typically have a pretty great attitude. It's like they're always in a good, positive, mindset. Nothing can go wrong. Things are going great. And when you're winning all the time, you're generally in a good mood. Have you ever seen a winner in a bad mood? I haven't. If you have, please let me know. I'd like to see it because I don't think it exists. Right? But if you're starting your day off with wins, win, your attitude is going to be fantastic. Right? That's great. You have a great attitude. Well, my attitude is going to affect my circle, right? Those 3 to 5 individuals that I'm typically around every day that I affect the most. My positive attitude is going to positively affect those 3 to 5 people. Okay, well, those 3 to 5 people have their own little circle. It's typically not the exact same as yours. Now they're going to affect their 3 to 5 people. Now we're going to up to 25 people, and it's just going to spread and spread and spread. So your positive attitude affects your circle. Your circle affects a community. Your community, or that community affects, that population around them, right? And if that continues to grow, right? And I think that goes back to where Animal McRaven talked about, the little things that can change your life and maybe the world. Your positive attitude can feed all the way up to changing the attitude of the world. Now, is that, a long shot, far-fetched dream? I don't think so. I think everybody could use a little bit of positive attitude every once in a while. I think your positive attitude can affect a lot of people. And I think it could eventually change the world. I don't know. At some point, right, we are going to change your attitude. You can either be that person who's always grumpy, or you can always be that person who's always got a great attitude. I think great attitude kind of feeds into you being successful, right? Because if you got a really crappy attitude all the time, you don't really kind of appreciate the small wins. And then you're missing out on something that is fantastic. And maybe it is a small win. Who cares? It's a win. Last time I checked, there's a win and there's a loss column, right? There's not win by 50 or lose by 50. This is win. And this is lose. That's it. Win or lose. Nothing else. Right? It's like horseshoes and hand grenades. Doesn't really matter. Right? I hit you with a hand grenade. Doesn't matter if I was close or not. I still hit you with a hand grenade. All right? Horseshoe, I got close. Doesn't matter. Still won. Got the points, right? So we need to reset our discomfort level, or our discomfort meter, excuse me. We need to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I'm not saying go sleep outside or go walk barefoot through the snow or something. I mean, if you want to, that's great. There's a lot of great benefits to, whatever that weird stuff is where you're getting rhythmic sequence with the earth or whatever walking through it. But get comfortable in the uncomfortable and reset that suckometer. That way, those small things in life don't completely ruin your day that shouldn't ruin your day. And I mean, just perfect example. Getting comfortable with the uncomfortable. I mean, it was literally 18 degrees this morning when I got up. And I had absolutely no desire to take my dog on a walk. And again, if you follow me, if you listen to the podcast, I talk about my dog a lot. He is ironically, a source of motivation for me to do things that I probably shouldn't do. There's realistically no good reason that we went on a walk this morning. I mean, yes, there's good physical exercise for both me. There's good physical exercise for him. But there is no real reason, right, to go on a walk when it's 18 degrees outside. It doesn't bother him. I don't know how. He's never cold. But it's weird because, and it's a goal of mine every day to get my 10,000 steps or whatever it is. Garmin loves to keep upping the number on me every time I, surpass it. So I don't even know what it's at now. It's 17,242 steps. That's what Garmin wants me to get today. But it's one of my goals to meet my step goal for the day. And if I don't take my dog on a walk, I more than likely will not get my step goal for the day because I get almost 6,000 steps in taking him on our little route every morning. And again, there was no real reason to go freeze my butt off walking my dog this morning other than it was part of how I get to one of my goals for the day. I had to be uncomfortable to accomplish or set myself up for success to accomplish one of my goals. So we've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if we want to accomplish our goals. And I think that's the biggest takeaway for today. Is it all going to be wins and glory and rainbows and unicorns? Absolutely not. There's going to be losses. That's okay. It's okay. Everybody loses. All right. But if we stack our day and we just look for the wins and we keep going for all the wins, we're going to accelerate. Right? You guys like how I played that, right? I didn't spell it wrong. I promise. All those people who commented I spelled it wrong. I'm not dumb. I got Grammarly. Okay. But yes. Set yourself up. Realize you are winning all the time. And you can accelerate your life towards whatever goal it is. Write that goal down. Right? Find your way to find your micro wins along the way. Keep yourself motivated. And then the sky's the limit for yourself. Right? It's your self-discipline that will get you there. When the alarm clock goes off, get up in the morning. Right? One of the biggest things that I've done, especially since starting the podcast, is, on your phone, you can literally limit the number of, how long you're on social media. And it's funny because sometimes, I get up in the morning, I'm sitting outside and I'm playing ball with Havoc, and I'll go to open like Facebook or something, and it's like, boom, hey, you're in quiet mode or whatever it's called. It's still going for like 3 hours because I have it set to where I can't even look at it before 9 o'clock. So I'm like, oh yeah. So I just close it up and I put my phone back in my pocket and I sit there and I play ball with my dog. So if you have to, right, set the limits on your phone, right? That way you're not wasting your time on whatever it is on social media. And social media can be good, but sometimes I think we get sucked in. There's times where I've opened my phone and scrolled some reels on Instagram, and next thing I know, it's like 45 minutes later, and I'm like, oh crap, what has happened? Where did time go, right? So if you're finding yourself short on time for whatever goal you're looking for, maybe social media isn't a great thing, right? So anyway, again, thanks for tuning in. I hope that something in my rambling here that I gave you could help you accelerate, right? Please, I hate to be that person, but, hit that subscribe button, right, wherever it's at, somewhere down here, somewhere along there, right? And share it. Share it with somebody. Somebody might need the message, right? I got a lot of feedback from the last episode. That was awesome. Somebody replied back, like, hey, it seems like there's just a little bit from every podcast that I take away. And that's the goal. It doesn't have to be a direct hit, right? I don't need this podcast to directly affect you. If it does, that's great. But if you listen to the podcast and like a 30-second snippet comes out of it and you're like, boom, I can apply that to my life. I can make this work for me. That's exactly what this is for, right? And that's why I kind of keep them short. That way you're not trying to look through hours of me talking to get something good. So please subscribe. It helps the platform grow. It helps us get recognized more, which means we can affect more people. And as much as you share it, it gets to more people directly as well. As you can see, hey, they're up on our Facebook page and Instagram. We got shirts, right? This is the white one. We have green one, which seems to be way more popular than the white, which I was completely wrong about. I thought the white would be more popular. But and we have decals. I didn't grab a decal. I failed. But please get on there. This is not a for-profit kind of thing. Whatever you guys buy is going to, one, it supports Chunk Company. If you guys remember Jennifer Willems, she was a guest on the podcast. She's making all of this stuff. So it's going to help directly support her and her family. And then I'm going to take whatever I get and basically reinvest it into more stuff so we can do more merchandise and get it out there. This is not a Justin's trying to make a car payment kind of thing. This is I want to benefit as many people as I can through whatever means. So this is not me trying to make profit. This is me just trying to spread the word. So please get on. The link will be in the show notes. You can catch that. But please pick them up. Our t-shirt pre-orders are going to end here soon. So get that. And then don't forget Drink Armor. Friend of the podcast. You can pick up their stuff. It's pretty cool. Use the link in the show notes. And, we get a little bit of that profit. So, again, it goes back into the podcast and helping us spread the word about all you awesome people out there. So, thanks for tuning in. I was on my hands a lot. It's cold in this garage. It's pretty cold. I got a heater down here. But anyway, thank you guys. I hope something in this podcast benefited you. And if you can, please share it with someone who you think would benefit from it. And we will catch you guys on the flip side. And like I started last week, stay relentless.